Well, hello. My name is Invalid Mix and welcome to another challenge help video theory version. Today we are going to be discussing the Resourceful challenge. As you can see right by the description on the screen, it is to get 3 kills in 1 life while using resupplied lethals from Scavenger. So of course this indicates one of the set things we are definitely going to have to use in our creator class is of course the Scavenger perk. Now, there are 2 methods that I will suggest for doing this. There is the hardpoint version, which I've done the practical video for, and of course the safeguard version, which is basically the fire discipline challenge. So, if you wish to see a video of the fire discipline version, just let me know in the comment section below and I'll see about doing a practical version of that. But for the hardpoint version, I do highly suggest running Danger Closer and 2 Semtexes. Now the reason you want 2 is because the main way to achieve this is to play in numbers. If you're doing it with Semtexes, the more Semtexes you are throwing, the more chances of you getting kills with the Semtex. And of course, since you've got 2 slots, every supply bag you pick up, and in a game mode like Hardpoint, there will be plenty, you will be able to resupply a great deal of grenades to throw. In the actual practical video, I go on a streak of, I think it's about 6 kills with resupplied grenades. So, as you can see, it's fairly effective, and the strategy in itself is something you can pull off. I will admit that doing the safeguard method would be easier, so if you wish to go for the slightly easier route, do so, but I want to cover the hardpoint version because I don't want to keep doing the same trick time and time again. I want to spread it up and cover a different tactic just so that I'm not rehashing the same one several times. Okay, so once you've set up your 2 Semtexes, if you're doing it the hardpoint version, or you only need to run the 1 C4 if you're doing the safeguard version. But once you've got the explosives and your scavenger set, the rest of the class is completely optional. I do suggest running some perks that allow you to have an idea of where the enemies are, because you do want to stay alive, and getting an idea of where the enemies are coming from and where they are will help a great deal in this. As I have a gaming headset, I ran awareness, and I did run Sixth Sense, as these 2 combined gave me plenty of warning where enemies were when I was paying attention, and allowed me to survive for a very long time. So, more or less, being able to tell where your enemies are will extend your survival. So I do highly suggest, if you've got a gaming headset, you will obviously always run awareness anyway, but try running Sixth Sense as well if you don't, or if you do, it doesn't matter, as it will give you that little bit of extra chance of survival. Now, specialists, of course, choosing a specialist where you can survive a bit longer. So, of course, Battery's kinetic armor is very useful. Glitch can get you out of some naughty situations. And of course, in the video, am running Psychosis, as it can be a very nice distraction and keep the enemies clear. And of course, the final option is always active camo, as it will make you invisible and give you just that little bit of an edge. So make your choices specialist you prefer with the ability you prefer. And like I say, it's just more about survival than anything else. Now, of course, for game mode, we will want to change this up to hardpoint, so I can give you a quick talk through so that you have an idea of roughly what I do during the footage for the practical version, as well as having an idea of how to do it without having to watch it if you choose not to. But I do highly suggest watching it, as it will give you a more thorough idea of the tactic, and it's much easier to explain during the actual video. Now, of course, I've chosen a small map here, and the actual practical video is on a small map, so it can be done on a small map, but if you've got a larger map, it is much easier to do, as you can position yourself further away and keep yourself alive. Because one of the main tactics for this on the hardpoint version is to actually avoid going onto the hardpoint. So for this particular map, the first hardpoint is dead center of the map. So the idea is, instead of going onto the hardpoint, you want to avoid going onto the hard point. So you want to be somewhere nearby where you can stay safe. So somewhere like here, so you can just pop around the corner, throw your grenades out onto the hard point whenever you get a chance. A good tactic that you can use, if you like, is to throw both grenades at the start, as soon as you're able to, and then resupply as quickly as you can, and that way every grenade you throw, you know, will be counted towards this challenge. Of course, you don't have to play overly carefully until you get the first kill, and then you want to start playing slightly more carefully till you get the second kill, and when you get the third one, you want to play like you're about to die. So play as very carefully as possible, stay as far away as possible, and make the grenade counts. So it's not a particularly hard challenge strategy to pull off, but it's the survival aspect that's the hardest, which is why I do highly suggest survival based abilities that will help extend your survivability. But like I say, all you need to be doing is staying off the hard points. Whenever it moves, just move carefully. So instead of running up to where they're going to all be spawning, if they're all spawning down here, you don't want to be going that way, so we'll go instead the long way around, going around. Just avoid where the hard point's likely to be, and of course you want to be in a position where you can just throw your grenades down into the hard point while just stepping out quickly, throw, that sort of thing. Of course, getting different angles to go for different areas to try and cover as much of the hard point as you can, and just basically keep alive. When you run out of grenades, move out to a point where you think your teammates have been dying, so if they've been dying directly below you, just pop around the corner once you're throwing those grenades, pick it up. Good idea is to always watch the capture sign, so if it says captured by your teammate, so it's got defend over it, you know your opponents aren't on the hard point, so you want to be very careful. If it says capture, of course, if it's red, it says capture, that means the enemies have got it, and that's when you want to be throwing your grenades towards it. Of course, there is also the contested, which is white, and it will say contested above it. So if it says contested, use the minimap to see where your teammates are in the hard point, and throw your grenades slightly towards where the enemies are likely to be instead. This will help you find where the enemies are just a little bit easier, and give you a good chance of getting your kills onto them. Now, like I say, there is the fire discipline method version where the C4, and I will give you a quick talk through that. So, as you're probably aware, the safeguard route for this map, I should hopefully hope so. If you've done the fire discipline method video, if you've watched my fire discipline video, you'll have an idea. The robot, of course, will start over here, and it'll move this way. The best way to do this is to, instead of trying to get the C4 on the robot, just leave the C4 in the path of where the robot's likely to be. So every time you resupply, just leave it a bit further forwards while hanging as far back as you feel comfortable, as well as keep your back safe, because you know your teammates are going to be watching the robot, so you just keep your back safe, and every time you detonate your C4, just resupply it and leave it again where the robot's likely to be. Yeah, it's a very straightforward method, and like I say, the further away you are from the objectives, the easier this is to actually achieve, as you can just stay fairly far back and toss some grenades into them for the hardpoint version, and the same applies with the safeguard version. Just plant the C4 in the path and then run as far away as you feel comfortable. The further away you are, the better, and of course when it reaches the hectic point towards the end, just try to throw a long shot the C4 over towards it while hanging as far back and safe as you can. So if you hang back here and just toss the C4 out like that while hanging back, and because your sixth sense will keep you aware if anybody's coming from certain directions, so you give you that little bit of warning, so you've got better chance to be prepared. The best thing you need to know while trying to survive is always pay attention to your minimap. Top left hand corner of your screen is probably one of the most important, especially in core game modes. It gives you a very good indication of where the enemies are, especially if you're using things like awareness, sixth sense season, and of course you've got the markers from when they're shooting to pop up on the map quite nicely. So just keep all that in mind while you're doing this, and it'll actually help you improve your general gameplay as you learn more and more to use your minimap. This has been Valid Mix, giving you a brief theory